Hi, okay, so this is my second video using the bits I've collected from the garden and another idea I've been researching on the internet. So this is called leaf printing. The very first thing to do, I've got a piece of paper. It is quite a thick piece of watercolour paper. Again, you might have to experiment and see what you can find. And I'm just going to use a big brush because it will save me time. If you don't have one, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to make my paper fairly wet all over. Again, this would be another nice one to do outside in the sunshine if you can. Sat at a garden table or even sat on the floor. Okay, so I'm going to give that a minute to soak in while we talk about what we're going to do. Okay, so this is a method that involves making a lot of wet paint. I'm going to use watercolour because it's nice and see-through. And then we're going to put leaves into it, kind of leave impressions. We leave it to dry, and then hopefully when we peel the leaves off we'll have a lovely pattern. So I'm thinking I'm going to use lots of greens, but I might get some blues and reds in there too. You can see I'm dipping my brush and then working away on my paint colour until I can build up a nice lot of a colour. And hopefully, because this is really wet, I can just start blobbing that all over. Okay, this is going to take a little while, so I'll film a bit and speed it up. Okay, so you can see because my page is so wet, those colours have spread out really well. And the next stage is to start laying on the leaves in a pattern. So I'm going to press them down. They won't necessarily stick and they won't fit all over. When I saw somebody do this technique before, they used ferns, but they're not out yet. So I've tried to get lots of leaves with different shapes. Okay, so I've covered my whole piece of paper now with leaves. Just remember to take a grown-up with you when you're picking things like this, that you're only allowed out in public for a walk once a day at the moment, and that you need to make sure that the things you're picking you're allowed to pick and that they are safe. Okay, so the next stage is to go back to our paints now and start blobbing on extras around the edges of the leaves. It's a little bit fiddly because, like I say, they don't want to sit down. Some of them are not terribly flat, but it's all very wet. So what I should be doing once this is all done is nipping off for a cup of tea while this all dries. I can make my paint a little stronger now and hopefully it'll leave the area. You just have to go carefully. You can see some of my leaves want to move and some of them don't. Some of them have really stuck down to the wet paper. But we're not looking for a perfect result here. This is a great way, if you do it on a big scale, to make wrapping paper or just a pretty little pattern. I've done a very similar thing called sun printing on fabric as well, where the sun dries it out and it sucks the water away from the things under the pattern. So that's worth looking for on the internet as well. Right, I'm going to get painting and leave you in peace for a minute. Okay, so I've totally covered mine. I've made a total rookie mistake. I haven't put anything under my paper and look, I've ruined my mat. Ho hum, I'll have to use the other side from now on. Okay, so that's very wet. I'm not going to lift it up now. I'm going to leave it there, go and get a cup of tea and come back and see you in a bit. Okay, so I've gone away for a little while. It's taken a long time for this to dry. Particularly maybe if you did it outside it might dry a little quicker. And the paper, if I'm honest, is still a little wet. But there's no more puddles of paint on the top, and I'm going to try removing the leaves and see what we've got. I'm going to go, well, I can see this one hasn't really stuck very well at all, and there's just a little blob there. That one's not really worked very well. This big ivy leaf though, that looks like it's stuck down a bit better. Oh, it's still very wet under there. but there is a little bit of a pattern. I'm going to try one more, and if that's very wet I might have to leave this even longer. Oh, it's nice though. Let's try one of these little ones. Oh, they've worked well, haven't they? Right, I'm going to peel these all off and speed it up, and then we'll have a look at the result. Okay, well I think that's quite a cool pattern. You can see it's made some really nice leaf outlines. Those tiny little leaves probably did the best impressions, and sadly where it's not dry I can see some of the definitions going away already, so really it might have been better for me to wait. But I imagine you can make some really pretty patterns using this technique. Have a go.